Welcome back to How to Restaurant Season 2, Episode 2. I have the glasses off today because of the glare. You know what I'm saying? But I will put them on back and forth as I'm discussing this with you, going through our next step. Yesterday, to recap, we did step 1, and that is me, someone like myself, coming into your establishment and trying to see what's on the surface. Maybe we can find out what's wrong when we're just looking at the surface, right? When I go into your establishment, I survey and I figure out right there what's wrong. That's the most important thing, is your presentation and your first impression, especially when you have a physical business. Super important. You have to be on top of your game. And if I come into your establishment and I already see that there's things wrong on the surface, then we have to get to it. Right now, it is extremely important. If there was no other sense of urgency, if you ever wanted to do better for your business, right now is the time. Especially during these COVID times, you better be on your A game, because you will go. All right. If there was ever a time that you wanted to improve, this is the time. So this is why I bring you to me, and this is why you're here listening. Right? You want to do better for yourself. So yesterday we did step 1, which was the consulting, surveying, seeing what's going on, seeing what you can improve just on the surface. So once we go into that first step, we step into step 2, obviously. That's the next step. One step at a time. You don't want to go to 3. So step 2 is the 8 Laws Workshop. That's what I offer for employees, employers, managers, you name it, I offer it. During the consulting process, we will educate your staff on policy and laws. Laws are not made to be broken. Okay? Laws are the foundation of policy. And as long as policies are being followed, then there should be a decrease of issues in the work environment. The restaurant or business environment comes with its inherent problems. Why add them? Let's take them away. And this is absolutely true. I wrote a book back in 2019. Actually, this book took me a few years to write. Actually, quite a few years. But as I was actually crafting it together and tailoring it for the reader, I actually sat down in dozens of restaurants throughout the East Coast, up and down, from Virginia to Florida. And I'll tell you what, the issues are common. And this is why I wrote part 10, Common Universal Laws when it comes to any establishment. It doesn't have to be for restaurants. And what I go through 8 laws, very simple. It's 8 common laws that should be followed in order to decrease problems and issues in the work environment. And one of the laws we'll dab through each law. So law 1, the home law. The home law is the house comes first. Without the house, you have nothing. You have no job, no income, nothing, right? Just sort of like when you go home. When you have to take care of your home in order to keep the roof over your head. That means you have to take care of the fundamentals. The bills have to be paid and the rent needs to be paid. And in order for a business owner to make that happen, you have to do your job. Because if you're not doing your job, the owner is losing out. And if the owner's not doing their job to take care of the employee, they're just hurting themselves. So I go through all of these laws, like I said, in part 10, page 52 of this book. And it's important that we're all on the same page when it comes to these things. We all have to be on the same page. When you're in your establishment, or you're working for a business, or you're running one, if I'm talking about something that's going on page 152, it's probably in your best interest not to be on page 87. It's that simple. We all have to know what's going on and why things are happening. Let's fix these mistakes. So, going on to law 2, ovation law, having respect for everyone. Everyone must have respect. I understand working in the kitchen, it can be a nightmare, and I understand that. And there are very, very there are crazy moments when people are actually literally disrespectful, and I really feel like there can be a change in the kitchen atmosphere. Chefs would say different. F this, F that, whatever, everything is a curse word in my experience when it comes to chefs. Chefs are very aggressive. They're the heart of your establishment. However, there still should be a line that you don't cross when you're in your establishment, because if one person's being disrespectful to the next, it can really ruin your flow of business. If you have two line cooks going at it in the kitchen, and you have a restaurant filled with tables, or just people at the tables, and your restaurant is packed, they're not getting along, you're screwed. But it's on you to educate your employees to have respect. And that's why I wrote a book like this. And it details the fundamentals of the Ovation Law. And these are common laws. Look, there's hundreds of ways to run a business. This is just one of them. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm not saying if you don't buy this book, you're going to fail. However, you can succeed. And you can help yourself. You want to help yourself. Especially right now. You need all the help you can get. So knowledge is key. Very powerful. Tardy law. That's law number 3 I talk about in my book. The tardy law is very simple. All right? If you show up on time, you're already late. You should always be there earlier. If you have to open up your business at 11 o'clock, then it's probably important that you're there at 10 o'clock to get everything started. I prefer 2 hours, in my opinion, depending on what kind of establishment you're running. If you need the time, take it. But showing up on time, you're already late. And I discussed this in the book. It's very important. Okay, if you're late for your job, you affect other people. You affect other people, and what happens is a chain reaction. So a common law is to always be on time. Show up for your shift. You need the money, especially now, I'll tell you. So the next one is the gold law, right? Product. I'm going to use a restaurant as an example. Product is important. Okay? So if you are selling beers in your establishment, you have to account for all of that. Okay? The gold. It's an exchange of services. Someone orders a beer, they give you money. You don't just give the beer. You account for it at all times. It's important. Some people see stealing as if you take it and put it in your pocket. Overpouring at a bar, giving more food than you should, giving more beers than you should, giving an extra shot if you should, that's stealing. Gold. You have to appreciate the product of the business owner. Because if you're giving everything away, how is the business owner gonna be able to pay their bills? That's not fair. What if you walked into work, and this applies to any business, you walked in and the business owner decides to take away 2 hours from you? It's okay. Don't worry about it. If the business owner screws you on an hour per day, add that up at the end of the year, what you get paid per hour, per shift. 1 hour per shift he takes away, or she takes away, whoever takes away. It's going to add up at the end of the year. It's going to be very expensive. Appreciate the product that you have. And we talk about that in the book. There's actually something, on page 157 in How to Restaurant. This really breaks it down, and I'm not going to break it down for you right this second or right now in this episode, but eventually I want you to understand, this is really important. And I'm gonna give you a link just for this specific one. So Law 5, the third strike law. It's hard, my glasses. The third strike law. I'm actually getting dizzy. All right, there we go. Third strike law. 3 strikes and you're out. How many times do you have to tell someone about the same mistake? And I'm not talking about if you make 3 mistakes in 1 year, you're gone. It's just like, bro, you have to get it at some point, okay? Restaurants, business in general, is not hard. It's mechanical. The hardest part is dealing with the customer. And little tiny mistakes add up. You got to try your best not to make the same mistake. Because if you make 3 mistakes in 1 day of the same mistake, you're not implying that you want to learn. You're not in it to win it. You're just there to exist. You're there to collect a paycheck. How many times have we seen that? As business owners, managers, and employees, people just sit there and they just don't care. They're not applying themselves. But you have to implement discipline, because if you don't, you're gonna lose control of your business. I've seen it. It's sad. I've worked for many companies. Okay, I've seen many companies just they let the employees get away with murder, and it's really heartbreaking. I'll be honest with you, because a lot of businesses can be doing way better, but they don't sit back and self-evaluate. Like, I'm just checking on the camera. All right, we're good. So they don't really think about it. They feel they have more feelings for the employee, or the employee has so much feelings for you. Have to leave that at the door. This is business. Money doesn't have feelings. Straight up. Doesn't care. And when you keep making the same mistakes, there's either a bias that's involved, and owners can make mistakes too, employees. This is not just for owners. This is for employees too. Don't let the owner keep making mistakes as well. Sometimes you got to put them in their place respectfully, because it is their business. But I've left companies because they kept messing up my paycheck. The same mistake week after week, 3 weeks in a row. I think it was like 5 weeks in a row. So I said I had enough. I can't work for you because you're inconsistent. You're not doing your job, right? So employees have to hold business owners just as responsible as they hold you, because it's a team effort. Without the employee, you have nothing. And without the owner, you have nothing. So mutual grounds. 3 strikes. 3 strikes and you're gone, period. And there's ways I explain that. It's just not cut and dry. There's a lot of gray area in between. So law 6 will be the chain of command law. I'll tell you what. The boss is the boss, the manager is the manager, and the employee is the employee. Everyone should have the right to protest, not like you see in the streets right now, but if you have a problem, it needs to be addressed, but you should always, always respect your command. Go through the process to getting your point across respectfully. As an example, if you are an employee of a company and your manager asks you to do something and you go around them because you don't want to do it, and you contact the owner instead of respecting your manager, when the owner hired the manager to make those decisions, we have a problem. If you're friends with someone in your business or the company you work for, and you're not respecting their commands, let's say, because they're a friend, we have a problem. You have to respect the chain of command at all times. And we will go through that in that workshop. Oh, yeah. Hygiene law. Do I really need to say much about that? Wash your butt. Clean your fingernails. Do your hair. Put makeup on. Do whatever you need to do. When you're messing with people's food, or when you're in customer service in general, you have to come correct. Okay? I can't even go further. Okay, so dress code would be the last one. Law 8. Look, laws are not made to be broken. A lot of people, rebels and stuff, they want to do whatever they want. I'm telling you that it is incorrect. Because when you follow policies and laws, there's a reason for it. Stop signs have a reason for it. Some intersections that you cross might have a stoplight. If you just keep going past the intersection, that's not a law. You don't want to break that. You want to be in line. It's general laws to life. Imagine driving a car and a wheel just decides to go off mid-highway. Just, whatever. That law that the tire should be on there, 4 tires to a car so it can drive. It's just a common universal law. So when you're in a kitchen or working for an establishment, you just do whatever you want. Why? It's unnecessary. And I want to prove a lot of these things. Look, I can tell you right now, 80% of what I've seen, 80% of businesses they don't even have a foundation to anything. Like, no blueprint of rules, regulations, policies. A lot of them have policies, but they're copied and pasted, and they give you this. You're like, "Huh, read it," and no one follows it. It's just too much to read. Keep it simple. Common laws. 8 common laws workshop. I wanna offer anyone that. I'll even offer that included with the 2-hour consultation. If you feel like, hey, maybe we should have this workshop, can you come to my establishment and just explain to my employees why this is fundamental? It might change everything. It might change the way they look at things. You might see an increase. You always got to check on them, right? You can't just say, hey, here's laws. Hey, VFR did a great job. And, 2 weeks later, it's just right back to normal. You always got to check on your employees. And there's a lot to talk about. So thanks for tuning in to episode 2 and season 2 of How to Restaurant. And we'll see you in the next one. The next one should be, let's take a look here. The next one will be Business Function Workshop, Step 3. How does a car function? That's going back to the car theory. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. And you guys take care, and I'll see you soon.